Neil Diamond with Kentucky Woman on the dock. It is Chip Lyness, Louie Herron, and Brad Duren from Louie Herron Toyota, and we're talking service today. That's why we got the expert from the service department. 36 years in the service
amazing,
business.
Right?
Absolutely.
I'm not even going to say anything to make them feel old. I'm not even going to say anything. Should I say it?
No, don't say anything.
I'm not going to say it.
You know what? I'll tell you something. My wife says, hey, look, when I married you, I got the complete package. You have a face for radio and a voice for email.
That's right.
It's on there. Oh,
well, I'll tell you, just I'm going to say it anyway, Brad. I mean, I'm 38. He's been doing this 36 years. Isn't that amazing? That's amazing. Brad's not smiling over there.
I'm smiling.
I know. Well, Brad, we want to get into the very next point. Again, a guest comes into the service drive. Again, we're talking about, if you're just joining us late, what to expect when you go to a service facility. Now, we're not talking about just a dealership. We're talking about any service repair shop. We talked about the beginning process of really going over the complaints you may have about the vehicle, what may cause it, and then work towards a correction. We talked about the proper walk around. And again, I think when you're looking at that perspective, Brad, so many customers sometimes, you know, they don't know they had a dent or a ding or a star in the windshield, and they get their car back and they go, hey, what about this dent? So you really want to walk around that car and make sure everyone is clear on any damage that may be there or lack thereof, or if we're responsible to fix something, because something could happen in there. So that's a very important piece that a customer wants to make sure they do, instead of just toss the keys and go in the waiting area. But we merged into the multi-point inspection. Now, this right here, this piece, Chip, is a very, very important piece. You'll be surprised, there are some dealerships and companies that don't even do this. They don't even do this. Now, you know, a lot of people will promote, oh, we give you a free inspection. Well, look, let's, you know, if we're keeping it real, we want to inspect the car twofold. Number one, we don't want you to leave out of there and say, you know, we didn't inspect something, and God forbid a tire comes off, and then you're looking at us going, didn't you check our car out? Yeah. But the other side is, look, we inspect the vehicle because there's other services that can be done. Yeah. I mean, if we're just keeping it honest, I mean, we want to make sure that if you need brakes, we want to be able to offer that to you. I mean, and you shouldn't feel bashful or ashamed if the car needs 2 tires. I mean, you know, we'd like to be the service center to provide that. The only way you do that is if you do a proper inspection. Now, here's where it gets gray, and here's where people and the skepticism and the fear comes in with servicing your car is, what are you recommending? And then when I get into the service department, every time I come in there, all I need is an oil change, and now you're giving me this potential bill. And Brad, we want to dispel that, because if customers are coming to us or any service facility, a customer should not feel like every time they go to the shop, they've got to pay $800. I mean, I come in for a $20 oil change, and what do I have now? I mean, you know what I'm saying, Brad?
I know exactly what
so let's talk about the integrity behind this inspection form, and also who's responsible to do it and what happens, and what you expect out of our employees, or even if you didn't work for me, if you went to another service facility, I know you well enough to know you're going to do it the right way regardless of where you're working. So talk about that process and maybe dispel some of the fear a customer may have when this happens.
Well, the multi-point inspection is relatively new to the car repair business. Probably been out now for 8 or 10 years. You know, most technicians, most advisors fought it tooth and nail. They thought it was just something else they were doing for free,
right,
and didn't see any value in it.
Right.
You know, and in the beginning, you know, you got to kind of agree. For them at the moment, there was really no value, but what we were working for was to earn customers' trust,
right,
and inform them about things that needed to be done down the road,
right,
instead of immediately.
Right. And see, I'm like, you know, people are listening to me. If I worked in the service department, what I would love to do is, because here's my thought process, and you and I have talked about this. I believe in a customer for life philosophy. I believe if I inspect a vehicle and I show a customer, listen, I would almost have great joy, and it sounds crazy, but I would have great joy in telling Chip, look, here's the deal. We inspected your car looks great. You've got these 2 or 3 items here. Honestly, you don't need to do them today. Okay, just put them on your radar. You don't even need to do them with us. We'd love for you to do them with us, but just put this on your radar. You know, you can take this sheet with you, or whatever the case may be. Keep them on your radar that you know that potentially it could get a little worse, and if it does, this is what happens. I mean, Brad, hopefully you feel the same way I do because we've discussed it, but how about our people? Because I think when you go and you sit down with Miss Johnson and you say, look, Miss Johnson, here's what you need to do. I mean, immediately the guard is up, and then you look like the typical shop, and it creates that fear And again, especially sometimes if it's not legit. I mean, because if somebody at our store recommends something that doesn't need to be recommended, I mean, bottom line is they're not going to work for us. I mean, that's just unethical. It's not right. And these technicians, they know what they're doing. You know, what's your position on that, Brad, as it relates to the assistants, the service writer? What do you want their mindset in as far as educating the customer and prepping them for that conversation they're going to have?
Let's kind of back up a little bit. And
Okay.
on the multi-point inspection, we're going to check out 26 of the most important items on the car. And we're going to grade them either red, yellow, or green.
Okay.
You know, the first time or the first 2 times, 3 times you come in, more than likely what we check is going to be in the green. And then say on your 4th time in, it's going to be in the yellow.
Right.
At that point, we should advise you probably on your next visit, this is going to need some attention.
Correct.
But there are times when we find things that are already in the red.
Right.
Unfortunately, when they're already in the red, they need immediate attention.
Right. Now, immediate, though, could be in the next week. It could be that day. It could be this month, right?
It depends on what it is.
Okay.
You know, if you go out and you inspect the tires and one of the tires has metal hanging out of it, it needs to be done right then.
Right.
You know, if your brakes are 20%, which is going to be in the yellow, you probably got another 8,000 to 10,000 miles.
Okay. Now, we don't have loans for people like financing on a car, but let's say you've got a guest that, let's just face it, they're tight on cash. We've got a tire that you know is a problem, and you see Miss Johnson sitting there with their 5-year-old daughter, and you know they're both getting ready to get back in this car. They don't have the monies. Do you promote or push any alternative for them at that moment? And do most service facilities have something in place that they could help them with?
We actually have something in place. I honestly don't know about the other people.
Okay.
I don't want anybody leaving themselves or with their children in a car that's not safe.
Right.
I will generally work out something. And the advisor usually will sit down with a customer and we can work out, you know, a priority on what needs to be done,
Okay.
and where the customer can budget for it based on
Right.
need.
Gotcha. Okay. So before we go to the break, so as we go through the inspection, what else have we left out? We know that we grade the inspection. We know that we inspect 100% of the cars. Okay. And just so you know, as you're listening right now, Brad and I determined, 3 years ago, that because the technician's responsible to inspect this car, and honestly, it's extra time, and they get paid on time, so they don't want to do anything they don't get paid for. We pay our guys to do it because we want the job done right. We want to make sure that they're doing the job they're supposed to be doing, and when we present it to the customer, it's 100% accurate. So you got to make sure that you get a copy of that, right?
Yeah, make sure you ask for a copy if it's not given to you.
Okay, so they cover the 26 most important points, and then the service writer presents that to the guest.
That's right.
Okay. All right, so again, what to expect when you're at the service department, a powerful greeting, make sure they walk around the vehicle, make sure they kind of touch base on all the belts and hoses initially, obviously very cordial greeting, and then you know to expect a multi-point inspection. It's coming. And if you don't get one of those, I suggest you ask for one of those. And if you're at a service facility that doesn't offer that, again, my opinion is that's just a red flag. You probably want to consider somebody, because again, they're letting that vehicle go out without an inspection. And, granted, all business owners have their own philosophy, but ultimately, if they're not inspecting the 26 or 31 or 41 or whatever, each facility has a different number or what they deem as important, you could leave out of there with something that's really a red light that could be a serious situation.
I've got a quick question. Let me give you a scenario, see if this ever comes up. Brad, if somebody comes in with a Camry, it's 2 or 3 years old, in pretty good shape, and you know that Camrys are pretty hot on the used car lot, would you ever say, look, or maybe you know that there's great incentives on a new Camry, hey, you need to go inside to just check, because I'm telling you, we can give you a great deal if you trade that thing in now, and we've got another great deal on a brand new Camry.
Well, that's a great point. Last month, I know everybody heard that we were pushing to sell 150.
Right.
Unfortunately, we come up a little short, but my service advisors in the back and my parts man in the back were actually responsible for
Like 10 deals.
11 deals last month.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But let me say this to Brad. If you're listening right now, and I'm not just saying this, if Brad worked at another facility, I've been around Brad 3 years now, but I'm being as genuine as I can be. I have seen, now, you got to understand this now, I have seen Brad have a 2002 Camry that a customer loves, and 2002 Camry needs some work. It needs $2,200 worth of work being done. That's $2,200 that Brad gets paid on, that is the service writers get paid on, but they have stopped and genuinely expressed to the customer, look, you have a $3,000 car, maybe a $4,000 car. We advise, instead of spending that $2,000 on the vehicle that's worth $3,000, use that as a down payment, and they have actually taken money out of their pocket, in essence, and walked the guest up to the front to help assist it because it was right for the guest. Now, that's big, because I will tell you, people are people, money's money. If somebody says, look, I just want my car fixed, man, okay, we'll take your $2,000, we'll fix the car, no problem. But you got to really, is that really what's best for the customer? And Brad, to your point, has done that several times, which to me makes me feel great, because the integrity is, and customers know that. When you explain it to a customer and you get a $3,000 car that you're about to spend $2,000 on, do we really want to do that? You know, so.
And they may not have known that.
No, in most cases they don't. In most cases they don't. If they've got, some of these cars they want to keep and they love the car. But anyways, I commend Brad for that. And even if it didn't work for me, I know him well enough to know that's the right thing to do, which is what we're looking for at our store.
Very good. All right, Chip, Louie, and Brad, it is Super Thursday, the automotive show on the air from Louie Herron Toyota in Milledgeville. Got a question, comment, you can call us at 706-453-4140. Looking at 79 degrees.